So that activated carbon concept is nothing but the base for our biochar. So in activated carbon, the main problem is nothing but once again the cost. For producing, it is a chemically modified activated carbon. It is not a naturally available activated carbon. So chemical modification, everything we have to spend such a huge amount. And once the treatment is over, its efficiency is lost. Again, the regeneration. That is, we want to separate the pollutant from that absorbed material. Then we have to reuse for the purpose. So these are all very big challenge. So this we have to say as a sorption elution cycle or regeneration cycle. This we are having. So with respect to so many adsorbents or day to day, they evolve. But when you're talking about a raw biomass or adsorbent or something we are taking, it is not having the efficiency in the sense uptake capacity. So efficiency is nothing something different and uptake is something different. We'll discuss in the later. So we want to go for a cost effective material such that that material is going to absorb or remediate to its maximum. So there comes the biochar. So in general, we can say it as a biochar. So biochar is nothing but a material that is produced from the naturally available biomass. For example, you can take the waste. For example, waste macroalgae is there. Seaweeds that we used as a seaweeds that is available in ocean. You can say it as a coconut shell, rice husk, groundnut shell, whatever the thing which is available in nature, that waste can be taken as a raw biomass or a raw feedstock for the production of the biochar. So the process is simple. A raw biomass will be there. That has to be burned in muffled furnace. That is pyrolysis condition has to be take place. The temperature will be ranging between 250 degrees Celsius to 500 degrees Celsius for this natural biomass. So from that we will get a biochar. So biochar is nothing but a pure carbon content. That is the ash, everything will be removed. The carbon content will be there. The moisture content, everything will be removed. That carbon content is nothing but we are going to assume it as a activated carbon. So that activated carbon, we are going to see the physical characteristics, how far it is having a good characteristics that is going to absorb, that is going to remediate the other pollutants. So if it is having less carbon content or efficiency is very less, in such case, we have to go for modification. So modification of the biochar can be done only when we are clear about the physical characteristics of the biochar and our target. So your target is nothing but pollution, water, wastewater. The wastewater which is coming from textile is something different. The wastewater which is coming from tannery is something different. Distillery is something different. Biochar is going to be the same, but here the target is nothing but pollution is going to be vary. So based on the pollution, the modification should be carried out in the biochar. So simple concept between the biochar and the anion cation exchange. The positive charge will absorb negative charge and negative will absorb positive. This is the mechanism beyond the entire absorption process, and the same process is going to be carried out in the biochar. So as per the International Biochar Initiative, so biochar is defined as a solid material that is obtained after the thermal conversion process. So the thermal conversion process is nothing but a pyrolysis process. It should be heated for some 250 to 500 degrees Celsius. So in an oxygen-free environment, so we have to make an oxygen-free environment. For that, we have to send a inert gas like nitrogen gas before the start of the experiment or something, before the synthesis of the biochar. So this is the biochar is sending to pyrolysis. From that, we can able to get the bioenergy as well as biochar. Here we are going to focus on only biochar. So bioenergy concept is something different. Bioenergy is nothing but bio oil. Whenever a material is burned, automatically in higher temperature, we can have a bio oil or biogas. Again, that bio oil, biogas can be used for some other purpose. It is all about secondary concept for us. So here the primary is nothing but only biochar we are going to deal. So again, with respect to biochar, in recent research and hydrochar is there. So hydrochar is what I said. A biochar which we have obtained may have some certain physical characteristics, but that may not be suitable for the absorption of the different industrial sector. So based on the industrial wastewater, we have to do some modification. Either we can go for physical activation or chemical activation. So if you're talking about chemical activation, it is nothing but a acid treatment, alkaline treatment. Physical, if you're talking about, is a pyrolysis itself, a temperature itself, one of the factor. Treatment, everything is coming. So based on that, we can able to say. So whenever a biochar is treated, then it is called as an hydrochar. So that is nothing but an next version of activated carbon. So it is not exactly activated carbon. We are producing the biochar from natural materials such that it will replace the purpose of the activated carbon. The reason beyond this is that cost associated with that and the efficiency and modification we can do that. So again, while coming to production and formation of biochar. So before we are going into the biochar material, first we should be clear about the raw materials. So raw materials can be classified into two categories, dry and wet. So here, dry and wet, the classification is classified based on the moisture content of the. For example, if we are taking some seaweeds that is collected from ocean, obviously it will have a high moisture content. Whereas if you are taking a raw groundnut shell, the groundnut shell will have a less moisture content. So it should be classified on moisture content. The reason for that, whenever a material which is having a high moisture content, that should go for pre-treatment before the formation of biochar. Since the moisture content should be entirely removed from the raw material, such that it will go for thermal conversion. In thermal conversion, it is going to be synthesized as biochar. So when dry mass is nothing but whenever a material which we are using that is having a moisture content that is right in 30 percentage, we are saying it as a dry mass. Whenever a wet mass is nothing but its moisture content is more than that of 30 percentage, we are saying it as an wet biomass. Again, the biomass can be categorized into two types. One is waste biomass, another one is energy crops. This is very simple. So, for example, I'm taking a coconut shell. So, coconut shell we can't say as a waste crop. It is a crop we are cultivating for our purpose. After that, that material is thrown as a waste. It is nothing but a secondary pollutant to the environment. So, it is coming under energy crop. So, waste biomass are nothing but if you are taking a wastewater treatment plant, everyone is aware of that sludge. The sludge we are getting is nothing but it's a waste. It has to go for either UASB reactor to produce the biogas, or it can be used as a fertilizer. There is no option with that. So such type of material can be used as a waste, that is used as a raw material for biochar production. So it comes under waste biomass. So these are the classification. Dry and wet is based on the moisture content, and here the energy crops and waste purpose is nothing but the purpose of the material which is playing in the society. So these are all about the feedstocks. So next it comes the biochar processing. So biochar processing is nothing but wherever the material we are getting. First we have to get the material, and it should be cut down and shredded into a particle size of 7.5 mm, and it should be over drained for 24 hours under natural drying. So after that, it should kept in a hotter over at 103 degrees Celsius, either for 12 hours or 24 hours, to assure that entire moisture content is removed. So now we can say it as our feedstock is it is ready for the synthesis of biochar. So now we are going to start the production of the biochar. So for the production of the biochar laboratory scale, we need to have a muffled furnace. So where the temperature can be varied between 200 degrees Celsius to 700 degrees Celsius. So whatever the material we are selecting, first we have to go for trial and error method in the laboratory. So what is the best temperature for producing the synthesis? Say it takes a 250. So what is the 250 degrees Celsius? What is the initial yield and what is the final yield? So what is the difference in the mass and how much carbon content we are having, that we have to assess. So while talking about synthesis of biochar, just the quantity doesn't matter. So after the quantity has been avoided, for example, I am keeping some 10 gram. I got only a 5 gram of a material. So our yield is nothing but 50 percentage of the raw material. But we can't say that this 50% is entirely having carbon content. So in that case, there are many analysis we have to carry out. For example, we have to carry out proximate analysis. We have to carry out elemental composition analysis, where the carbon content, hydrogen content, nitrogen content, oxygen content, total volatile content, carbon content, everything will be assessed. So based on that only we can able to say it as a whether it is a best suited material for remediation of something. So again, when you're talking about biochar synthesis, before the fixing the temperature, we have to go for a thermogravimetric analysis. So the thermogravimetric analysis is something different, but analysis where it is carried out for a raw material. That raw material will undergo a thermal decomposition between 100 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius at a heating rate of 5 degrees Celsius per minute to 10 degrees Celsius per minute. So here what we can understand, we can have a graph. In that we can see the decomposition rate. For example, I am saying in laboratory, I am selected a temperature of 250 degrees Celsius. So we don't know whether 250 is the best temperature for the raw material. Since the temperature for rices may be different, the temperature for groundnut may be different. In that case, we can't go for assumption or we can't go for trial and method. For that, first we have to go for thermogravimetric analysis. So in that analysis, what we can see is nothing but it will clearly give us the result what is the temperature that is essential for the removal of entire moisture content, and what is the temperature essential for removal of cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin material. So these three different types of material degradation possess the characteristics of the biochar. So when it comes to the pyrolysis, after carrying out all this analytical results, there is nothing but a supporting result. then we have to start producing our synthesis, that is synthesis of biochar. So pyrolysis process, again, it is classified into three types: slow, fast, and flash. So in our cases, maximum 90% of the research work we are carrying out on the slow process. The heating rate may be between 300 to 800. The heating rate we are carrying between 5 to 7, that is obviously 5 to 10. So residence time in muffled furnace we will keep up to 20 minutes to 1 hour. So from ions. So this is the concept of anionic contaminant removal. So this is one of the example for the stormwater remediation. So this is nothing but a catch basin, what I said. So you have to maintain a bed depth of biochar. So raw contaminant wastewater or runoff may enter into that. The pollutant present on that will absorb on the biochar. So remaining we can take it out for the further treatment or water treatment, whatever it may be. Now it comes to our main core area. So biochar for environmental remediation. So while talking about environmental remediation, biochar is successfully using as a best adsorbent, or you can say it as a novel adsorbent, or it can be say as a low cost adsorbent. Since the chemical modification or physical modification, whatever it is going to, we can easily do with the biochar. So that we used to say as a composite material. So here raw biochar will be there. From the biochar, we can able to blend some other chemicals. That is nothing but a composite material we used to say. Again, to increase the efficiency to this composite material, we can go for doping process. Some other chemicals we can percentage from 5%, so that the surface interaction will be there. Automatically, it will be increasing the remediation process. So biochar for adsorption, it is classified into two categories. One is organic molecule, another one is inorganic molecule. So while you're going in depth, specifically we can see that the biochar application in antibiotics, pesticide, dye removal, hydrocarbon removal, some volatile organic compound. It also useful in a heavy metal removal like cadmium, mercurium, everything we are observing, and some inorganic pollutants from wastewater also we can able to remove. So these are all some of the application where we can use this biochar for a remediation. Now it comes, we are talking about modified biochar. I think everyone is clear about why we are going for modified biochar. Since the same type of biochar won't be suitable for all the pollutants. So in that case, we have to go for a modified biochar. For example, if you are taking a modified biochar, there are many methods are available. First, we are talking about a steam activated biochar. Second is nothing but heat treated biochar. Then third one is acid treated biochar. Then alkaline treated biochar. Then biochar modified with nitrogen based functional group. So from the method, you can be see that, for example, acid treat and alkaline treat. So acid treatment is nothing but the biochar that will be soaked in the acid. Alkaline treatment is nothing but the biochar that is going to be soaked in the base. So acid is nothing but a plus ion, base is in the minus ion. So here we can correlate the concept. So based on the target, either you can go for acid or alkaline or heat or steam or whatever the case we want to go. Again, these are all nothing but a pre-treatment of the biochar, that is modified form of biochar we used to say. And next one is composite based biochar. So composite based biochar is nothing but, so here modified biochar is nothing but we are enhancing the efficiency of the biochar without adding any chemicals. Some physical method we are going. So here composite is nothing but externally some chemicals will be there. That chemical is going to be blended with biochar. So it will form a nano composites. So these nano composites will have a very good efficiency in the treatment process. So nowadays, this nanocomposite is not only using in adsorption process. To overcome the process, we are going for photocatalyst process also. So photocatalyst is nothing but a reactor where we can work with the help of infrared or ultraviolet, whatever it may be. So there will be a degradation. If you are taking a particular type of metal or dye, automatically in UV the degradation will be there. To enhance the degradation process, we are adding this biochar or modified biochar or modified based composite material as a catalysis. One thing we can use as a adsorption in a conventional way. In a modern way, you can use this as a catalyst process. So these are all some of the examples how we are going to do. For example, when you're talking about steam activated, just I'm giving the hint what is meant by steam activated. So steam activation process is nothing but the pyrolysis temperature will undergo at a temperature of 800 to 900 degrees Celsius. So if you're going at 800 to 900 degrees Celsius, the partial devolatilization takes place and formation of crystalline carbon appears on the biochar surface. So this will act as a activated carbon and its characteristics will be almost similar to that activated carbon, and some functional groups like carbonyl group, carboxyl group, phenolic group, ether may be present on the biochar. If these groups are present on the things, we can remember about the physical characteristics. Surface area is one of the characteristics, pH, point of zero charge, surface charge, functional group is there. If we are enhancing the functional group, automatically we can say the adsorption process will be maximum. So next it comes to the heat treated biochar. So in heat treated biochar, the same thing, it is the pyrolysis will be carried out at 800 to 900 degrees Celsius in the presence of hydrogen gas as acidic functional group. So this acidic functional group will form the formation of C single bond H bond, and this will increase the absorption capacity of certain pollutants. Then third, it comes the acid treated biochar. While we are talking about the acid treated biochar, it is nothing but soaking a biochar in a acid solution. Usually the ratio we are maintaining is 1 is to 10. So 1 stands for biochar and 10 stands for acid. So some of the commonly pre-treatment methods are there. Before we are going acid, we have to soak it with the potassium permanganate, ammonium persulfate, hydrogen peroxide, ozone we are using for washing purpose. Then it has to be washed again with hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and phosphoric acid. So of all the different type of acid, phosphoric acid is having a very good effect on the biochar. It can modify the biochar to a maximum effect. The reason is that the phosphoric acid forms phosphate and polyphosphate cross bridges during decomposition of lignocellulosic, aliphatic, and aromatic materials. So present on the biochar. This will increase the absorption capacity. Now it comes to the alkaline treatment. As everyone know, alkaline treatment, two common solutions are there. Potassium hydroxide is there, sodium hydroxide is there. These are the two types we are using. So usually when we are thinking about the cost point of view, we used to go for sodium hydroxide. In a reverse case, if you are thinking for efficiency point of view, we are going for potassium hydroxide. Since this potassium hydroxide will impregnate the compounds like K2O, K2CO3, etc., again that will form the K plus ion. So if K plus ion is there, it is similar to H plus ion. Automatically the negative charge ions will be attracting. So it will enhance that. So based on the target, if any of the material, we can go for that. So nitrogen based functional group is nothing but some groups. Nitrogen containing functionalities like amide group is there, lactone group is there, pyrrole group is there, pyridine group is there. So these groups we have to uh, impregnate on the biochar, so that for example, if you are taking a metals like copper, zinc, or cadmium, in that case definitely we have to go for a nitrogen based functional group, since this nitrogen based functional group will remove this metal at maximum. So these are all about our pre-treatment. When it comes to the composite, so first it is discussed as nanometal oxide or hydroxide. So it is nothing but we want to take, for example, composite is nothing but there is a difference between composite and doping. Whenever a material is tested, composite nothing but we are having a raw biochar that is going to mixed with the equal volume of some composite material. Maybe zinc oxide will be there, aluminum oxide will be there, titanic dioxide is there. It can be used. So doping is something nothing but at maximum we can able to replace some 5 to 10 percentage of the biochar surface. So that is why I discussed. First we can go with composite. Again, if you are not satisfied with the composite material, you can able to go for some doping material also. So that will increase the efficiency maximum. So here, when you're talking about a nanometal oxide or hydroxide, the best advantage is nothing but it will have a high surface area. Since we are going for producing the composite material, many methods are there. Ultrasonication method is there, hydrothermal method is there, co-precipitation method is there, salt gel method is there. The material biochar is to make it a solution. The chemical which to modify will be a combination. Both both has to be mixed. So in that way we can able to capture there is a process there that you can get from the net or something. So high surface area, negative surface area, elevated pH are some of the best characteristics of the nanometal oxide. So it will have a best removal efficiency. And next we are seeing a magnetic biochar. So the difference between non-magnetic biochar and magnetic biochar is nothing but now we are talking about all the things in lab scale. When you're coming for an industrial scale, you are having a biochar, it is acting as a adsorbent. We are using the adsorption process, we are removing the pollutant. But this adsorption still it will be in the suspension of the water. So we have to remove that. So if non-magnetic biochar, we have to go for some filtration process, something that is again a cost-effective method. So what we have to say, magnetic biochar. So magnetic biochar are nothing but the removal can be done with the help of easily magnet. That is, we are changing the characteristics on the surface. So adsorption using magnetic adsorbents has emerged as a water remediation technology, particularly for wastewater treatment. So it will eliminate the filtration shortcomings or non-magnetic adsorptions. So I think last one is a functional nanomaterials. So it is an advanced version. Recently, the mini research launched some 1 or 2 years. Many research has been carried out. So it is nothing but we are using some nanoparticles like cytosine, graphene, graphene oxide, carbon nanotube, double layered nanotubes, nanoscale, zero valent ion, graphite. Many materials are there. So this can be able to used as a nanoparticles. That nanoparticles can be blended with our biochar. So these are all some of the characteristics so far what we have discussed. Now I am taking a one example. So whatever so far I discussed is nothing but a general character, physical character I have discussed, how we are going to synthesize the biochar we have discussed, and what are the methods of modification we are going to do, everything we have discussed. And we should be always clear that this modification is based on the type of the wastewater. So here we have taken, for all the researches, I am sharing one of my research. So here we have taken a Remesol dye. So Remesol dye is nothing but a reactive dye that is very, very commonly used in textile industry. A huge quantity of wastewater is generated every year. So first we have attempted in a single solute solution. So single solution is nothing but we have taken an individual dye and we have tested. Then we have created a complex dye, that is real-time effluent. So we have checked when it is for a single solute, what is the efficiency? When it is a complex, what is the efficiency? So this we have taken seaweeds. So everyone is aware in South Tamil Nadu near Rameshwaram, Ramnath, we are aware that algal, that is seaweed, is very, very maximum that we can obtain for the zero cost. There is no cost associated with buying a biomaterial. Only processing, that is, it is having a moisture content of more than 30%. It is coming under waste biomass as well as waste biomass. So in that case, we have to go for a pre-treatment process. So in our research, we have taken this. So the main scope of this research we have taken is that just we want to remediate 4 different types of Remesol dyes, that is Remesol black, Remesol violet, Remesol orange, and Remesol blue. So using 3 different marine seaweeds. So marine seaweed is nothing but a marine green algae. So Ulva lactica, Ulva reticulata, and Caltropus scalefiliformis we have used. So here this presentation I am making in such a way that how to do the research in lab and what are the important modeling or kinetic study that is important in publishing a paper in SCI journals. I am not talking about the Scopus or something in SCI journals. And one thing, if you are doing a research in biochar with good thing, in everyone is aware of the SCI journals where are taking a 9 months or 1 month. In biochar and nanomaterial, if you're going, you won't believe that even within 1 month you can able to get the communication easily. So here, whenever you're writing research or thesis or something, you should be clear what are the objectives. As so far we discussed, our first ultimate objective should be what are the types of biochar we are going to choose and what is the optimum pyrolysis condition. For this concept alone, you should carry out thermogravitimetric analysis, proximity analysis, elemental analysis. From that, you have to fix the pyrolysis. Then we have to check what is the potential of this biochar in batch mode operation. And one more thing, where we are failing. So all the research which we are carry out in batch mode in laboratory scale. But think in industry, it is not a batch mode, it is a continuous mode 24/7. So whatever the material we are recommending or we are synthesizing, that should have a capacity of maximum remediation even at continuous mode. So for a continuous mode, first we have to study with the batch mode and what is the stoichiometry or what is the response towards the absorption model. So minimum there is a 2-parameter model, 3-parameter model, even 5-parameter. Now there are almost some 20-parameter models that is having a link with the uptake capacity of the each biochar. So in this study, we have taken some basic 2-parameter models, that is Friendlich Langmuir, and to check the 3-parameter model, we have taken tooth and SIPS model. So other things like kinetic study. So kinetic study is something different, but time, equilibrium time, we used to say. In batch mode, we are fixing as a 6 hour. But we can't say that whether 6 hour is sufficient or even the dye can be degraded in the 20 minutes. It can degrade at 1 minute. So to carry out what is the optimum contact time or what is the rate constant involving in that. Please, policeman, you mute. Actually, here it is distracting. Okay. So kinetic study is carried out. So to whatever the experiment we have carried out, that should be validated with the help of our analytical ring. So SEM is one of the important thing. EDS is important thing. FTR is important thing. So SEM always deals with the structure, surface structure. EDX is dealt with the chemical, and FTR deals with the functional group present on it. So after that, here we have checked the possibility of the regeneration. First one cycle is completed. After that, how to we separate that pollutant from that biochar? Again, how we are going to use that biochar and what is the efficiency for that? So after studying all those things, we have entered into our continuous process. So within this one slide, I can able to explain the overview of the research. For example, we have collected 3 biochar. That is, you can see from this chart, you can see from the top left corner. So Ulva lactica reticulata and scalefiliformis we are having. It is undergoing pyrolysis temperature, and of all the analysis, we can say 300 is the best. From that, the biochar is be produced. So here we are not taken any of the modification process. The reason beyond that is nothing but the reactive dye, which is having plus where if you are taking Ulla lactica, Ulla reticulatus, the functional group, naturally it is having carboxyl, carbonyl, many functional groups are there. Automatically the efficiency will be maximum. So that has to reflect in our risk. Next, it is going for a batch process. So in batch process, it is nothing but a temperature control orbital shaker we are taken. So the maximum capacity of the flask, we can take it as a 100 ml working volume. So the size should be 250 ml. So in that different biochar, the parameters like biochar dosage, pH of the solution, temperature, initial concentration, and contact time. These are all some of the important thing we have to carry out for this. So after carry out this, we have to study what is the efficiency for that. So we are having some 4 dyes with the 3 dye. Of all the thing, we can see that orange, which is having a maximum removal efficiency, that is 93.2% we have achieved, that we are taking for the continuous process. So continuous process nothing but a upflow packed column. It is having exponential shift. In upcoming slide will explain. So from that we can able to see that again while talking about continuous study, we should be aware of that what 3 parameters. What is the bed depth? Here bed depth is nothing but to what volume or to what height the biochar is to be filled. It is a continuous process. We should make in a way it is a packed column so that the effluent will be in contact with that. It is coming out of the outlet so that we can able to collect and assess. So in that flow rate, what is the speed of the rate or something we are giving velocity of the solution and what is the initial concentration. These are some of the important factor. We'll see one by one. So for explaining this purpose, out of 3 biochar, I am taking only one biochar for explaining. So first, these are the dye classification what we have taken that I will share in the slide. So this is a seaweed collection process, and whatever I said, the same process. We have to shred into 0.7 milligram, and we have to take some 100 gram. We used the muffle furnace for 120 minutes. From that, we have carried out. So this is nothing but a batch experiment detail. So biochar dosage has been varied from 1 to 10 gram per liter. We have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a way 10 gram per liter. So pH has been maintained from 1.75 to 5. The reason for selecting a pH of acidic condition is nothing but reactive dye will have a minus ion, so that automatically H plus ion should be maximum. So H plus ion will be maximum at a pH of 1 to 5. That's why we have taken this range. And in a trial version, we have tested by a pH of 9, but the efficiency is very, very worst. So that's why we have taken between 1.575 to 5. So this is how we have to select the pH range for a particular material. So next one is solute concentration rate. We have taken from 0.5 to 0.05 to 1 millimole per liter, and temperature range. The reason for selecting the temperature is nothing but it's purely chemical. Those who are interested at last, I can share my mail ID for you can contact. But based on the temperature only, you can able to decide whether it is exothermic reaction or endothermic reaction. This exothermic and endothermic reaction is having an influence on the kinetic study. So this kinetic study is deciding the rate limitation of the reaction. So this is all nothing but a loop. We have to be clear with all those things for deciding a maximum efficiency. So these are the basic some formula. First, we have to calculate the dye uptake. So uptake is nothing but, for example, I'm using 10 gram. So 10 gram, my initial concentration is 100 milligram. So this 10 gram is absorbing this 100 milligram. The efficiency is nothing but 100%. So what is the uptake? This 10 milligram is taking 100. So that 1 milligram is taking 10 milligram. So this is the counter. Uptake capacity. Uptake capacity is nothing but milligram per gram. How much milligram of pollutant is absorbed by 1 gram of a biochar. So removal efficiency is everyone is aware that is initial minus final level initial into 100. So these are some of the isotherm and kinetic study we are used: Freundlich model, Langmuir model, Tooth model, SIPS model. While you're talking about kinetic study, pseudo first order, pseudo second order, Elwich model is there, intraparticle diffusion model is there. If you are having your own interest, you can able to contact with that. Desorption. Now adsorption is nothing but our ultimate aim. We are absorbing the pollutant. So desorption is nothing. Cycle is over. Now our ultimate concept comes biochar. We have to reuse this biochar. How you can receive this biochar is nothing but what are the chemicals we can send with that make contact with that biochar so that the biochar and the pollutant will be removed. This biochar will be filtered, dried, and can be used for the next process. So this is the idea beyond the desorption. So this can be done with 0.1 molarity of sodium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, ammonium sulfate, or hydrochloric, whatever we can take. So simple logic. Whenever a adsorption is maximum in a pH of acidic condition, desorption will be at alkaline condition. Whenever a adsorption is maximum at alkaline condition, the desorption will be at acidic condition. For example, in our case, the maximum we are taken between 1.5 to 5. That means acidic condition. So blindly we can say that NaOH is going to be a best. If reverse case, if a pH 9 is going to be optimum, it is in base condition. In that case, definitely HCl is going to be a best. So for this, same orbital shaker is used, same conical flask is used. We have taken 2 minutes as the equilibrium time. We have maintained at 160 RPM, that is shaker. So after that, we are taking the sample, that is centrifuge of 5 minutes for 300 RPM. Then initial and final concentration is measured. From that, we are able to calculate that. So next it comes the S bar L ratio. So solid bar liquid is very, very important. Here solid refers biochar. Liquid refers volume of the elutant we are using, desorption. It may require 100 ml, it may require 10 ml, it may require 20 ml. So in that case, for example, I am using 100 ml as the adsorption working volume. If I am using 10 ml or something, so ratio we can 100 over 10 or something, we can able to calculate the ratio. So S bar ratio we have to take. And what is the sorption elution cycle? How for desorption and adsorption we are going to carry out. So three continuous process we have carried out. So next, after calculating all the batch experiment, we are taking this optimum condition. We are going for a column experiment. So in column experiment, the main important parameters of biochar bed depth. We are having a peristaltic glass, which is a cylinder form. In that, we have to fill the depth of the biochar. The depth we are taking a 15 meter, 15 centimeter, 20 centimeter, and 25 centimeter. So after that, we have to take the solute flow rate. So solute flow rate, we are maintaining three conditions: 0.35, 0.45, 0.6 liters per hour, and initial concentration we have taken as 0.1, 0.20, and 0.25. These are the different types of the concentration we have taken. And for continuous study also, we have carried out the desorption regeneration study. So this is a column study, we can able to do it. So this is a cylinder type which is made up of peristaltic pump. So this peristaltic pump here is nothing but here one refers dissolution, two refers elutant. So dissolution will be at adsorption process. Initially completing the adsorption process, the wall will be there. Sorry for the distraction. And elutant will be there. After adsorption, we have to close that wall and elutant can be used. So 3 is the peristaltic pump. Using this peristaltic pump, we can able to find out the flow rate of the solution. 4 and 5 are nothing but a glass wool and glass bead. Since it is made in upflow condition, we have to maintain the even flow. So that we are using the glass plates. Over that, automatically the effluent will be at constantly be supplied. So 6 is nothing but a biosorbent. Here we are having three different 15, 20, and 25. So 7 is nothing but adjustable plunger that is used to maintain the bed height. So this is the process we are using. Continuously we are pumping out. For that we are studying. So again, there is a modeling for all this column data. Thomas model is there, modified dose response model is there, ion response model is there. Many things are there. So just now I'm going to discuss the results. If you are taking the batch process, synthesis of biochar, we can say that biochar yield is maximum 300 degrees Celsius. And when you're coming to the biochar dosage, so biochar dosage has been varied from 1 gram per liter to 10 gram per liter. You can see that at 1 gram per liter it is maximum, at 10 gram per liter it is minimum. But everyone can think that when the biomass is maximum, automatically that is biochar is more, remediation will be maximum. But here the logic is nothing but here 10 gram is there. But the concentration which we are maintaining, I'm maintaining 100 milligram per liter. That 100 milligram per liter can be absorbed within 1 gram per liter. So in such case, why I have to go for 10 gram per liter? If I want to use this 10 gram per liter, I want to increase the initial concentration. This is a concept beyond that. So this is with respect to uptake capacity. Okay. When you are coming for a removal efficiency, the removal efficiency will be always maximum for 100 gram per liter. So 1 gram per liter is nothing but what is the uptake for 1 gram. 10 gram is nothing but what is the uptake for 10 gram. At higher dosage, automatically the removal efficiency will be more. But in our process, we always thinking on the uptake capacity. What is the capacity of a single biochar is going to be absorbed. So from the study, we are taking it as a 2 gram per liter is the best. So again, equilibrium pH, we can able to see that 1.75 to 2.53. Whenever we increase in pH, automatically the dye removal efficiency is decreasing. This is due to the fact that when you're increasing the pH, H plus ion will be decreased. So the dye which we are using is having a minus reactive ion. So it will be maximum pH of 1.75 or 2. So based on the dye removal efficiency and uptake capacity, we are designing towards the maximum. Then it comes temperature. From the temperature, we can see with the increase in temperature, automatically our efficiency has been increased. So these are all some of the models, that is Langmuir model, Freundlich model, Swift model, Tooth model. So in that R square, that is correlation coefficient, that is an important factor. So always when compared to two parameter model in adsorption theory, three parameter model will we have a best thing. In our cases, we can say that Swift model and Tooth model is the best. We are having 0.9 in correlation coefficient. So our pattern is following on a stoichiometry of the Swift model, Tooth model. So this is nothing but our pseudo's first order kinetic model. So here we have to take different concentration for different time interval. Based on the experimental uptake, we have to validate this kinetic study. This can be done with the help of normal Excel. We have to go for odd and for solver with the help of predicted, that is, this is our experimental uptake. From the experimental uptake, we have to calculate the predicted uptake of the model. From the model, both we have to compare what is the R square value. From that, we can say whether it is going for pseudo's first order model or pseudo second order model. This first order and second order model are always having a link with exothermic reaction or endothermic reaction. So now it comes to the desorption study. So as I said, we are having absorption maximum pH of 2. That means H plus ion. So automatically it should have maximum at base. That is nothing but NaOH. We can see 99% of desorption efficiency at NaOH. So same way when it comes for S bar L ratio. When S bar L ratio is maintained 1, absorption is good. At 2, it is good. 3, good. 5, good. So 5.56 something, whenever you're using a 18 ml of elutant for 100 ml of adsorption, our desorption efficiency is dipping. So 5 is nothing but we have to use 20 ml. So 100 divided by 20 is nothing but 5. So 20 ml of elutant is good enough for dissolving a biochar. So this is a overview of our biochar derived. So 4 dyes, we can say 93, 92, 89, 86 removal percentage at 30 degrees Celsius, concentration of 0.05, pH of 2, biochar of 2. The best model is tooth model, and pseudo second order kinetic model is the best one. While you're talking about desorption efficiency, it is having 99% of desorption efficiency. The same results, the same way we have carried out for other two biochar. In all the cases, we can see for reticulata, it is almost more than 90. Again, if you're going for Caulotrupus calfelivovis, it is almost more than 80%. So of the three, Ulva lactica is having the good response. So as a next cases, we have taken this Ulva lactica to the continuous study. So while talking about the continuous study, first influence of bed depth. We are having three different bed height, 15 centimeter, 20 centimeter, and 25 centimeter. So we can see the equilibrium time. Whenever a bed depth is increased, the equilibrium time is high. Meanwhile, the removal efficiency will be maximum. This is the concept. If we are reducing the bed depth, automatically the efficiency and this one is reducing. When your bed depth is high, the time equilibrium time will be more, but we will have a good removal efficiency. So next one is with respect to influence of flow rate. So flow rate we have maintained at three different 5, 8 and 10 ml per minute. So everyone is known it is a closed bag. Whenever we increasing the flow rate, automatically the efficiency will be reduced. Since at higher flow rate, the biochar will not have a sufficient contact time. The pollutant biochar should have a sufficient contact time. In such a way, it can able to absorb. If contact time is reduced, that is, if you are increasing the flow rate, automatically contact time will be reduced, efficiency will be reduced. That is reflecting in the result. For example, if you are taking flow rate of 5 ml per liter, flow rate is very, very less. That's why the time taken is very, very high. If the overall time is high, automatically the removal efficiency will be very, very high. This is with respect to the initial concentration what we are using. So we are using 0.25, 0.2, 0.1. So from the study, we can say that that blue color line, that is nothing but a 0.25. So time is very less. It shows that our biochar is good enough of observing at higher concentration. At lower concentration, we are having a greater time, but higher concentration it is working out. From that, we have taken the best condition is 0.25. So these are all some of the column parameter. Here TB is nothing but it's quite technical. Actually, TB is nothing but breakthrough time. T is nothing but exhaustion time. Exhaustion time is nothing but we are sending the inlet. I am sending 100 milligram as a inlet. At what time the same content 100 ml I removing at the outlet. That means our biochar has lost the capacity of adsorption, so that there is no further interaction. Whatever the inlet you are giving, that is coming as the outlet. So that we have to stop. Usually 100% is not possible. You need to take as a 98% and 99%. Whenever it is achieving 98%, we have to stop. From there we have to go. So delta is nothing but overall sorption zone. That is nothing but our exhaustion time minus breakthrough time. So V effective is nothing but volume. So total, what is the total volume? So total volume can be calculated with the help of what is the flow rate we have maintained and what is the total time, exhaustion time we have taken. For example, 12.1 into 0.3. So that will give you something V effective. That is the volume of the liters. So for that, what is the best dye removal? So from the thing we can able to see that the dye removal is maximum at a flow rate of 0.573%. So again, we are not only concentrating on the removal efficiency, this to be decided based on the uptake capacity. Okay, these are all some column data modeling we have validated. So again, for this, we have calculated with the help of desorption study. The same, we have stopped the adsorption. Peristaltic clump has been connected with the desorption. In batch study, we found that NaOH is the best thing. The same NaOH is used, and so we can see that for an overall sorption has been taken in 965 minutes for adsorption. But while removing the pollutants from the biochar, it has taken only 115 minutes. So here we have to see that the peak factor, this is concentration peak factor we obtained is 4.25 we obtained. So these are all about continuous process. So I think with that, this is over. But again, the whatever the work we are carrying out is a conventional process. Now, entire optimization technique has been taken out with the help of response surface methodology. That is Minitab software we are now using. For example, if I want to fix the optimum of a pH, I am selecting 5 different range. So I should have a 5 different conical flask and other parameters like temperature, initial concentration, and biochar dosage, it should be constant. So likewise, I have to do for other thing. If biochar is there, pH should be constant. If temperature, other parameters should be constant. But in a chemical reaction, you can't say that by fixing a pH of 2 is alone correct. By pH of 2 with biochar of 2, with temperature of 30, will have some different efficiency. Other combination will have some different efficiency. But till now, we are following only conventional process. To overcome that, we are using optimization tool like Minitab, that is a response surface methodology. It is like a probability. So we are having some 4 unknowns, that is pH, biochar dosage, temperature, concentration. We have to take a level of 3. In software, it will say as a -1, 0, and 1. That is exact level, greater than 1, less than that 1. So with that, it will give the probability. For example, we are having 4 unknowns, 3 levels, 4 power 3. So 4 into 4 for the 16, 16 over 256 trial will be there. We have to carry out all the 256 trial. That results efficiency has to be validated with the Minitab, and we have to find out the R square value. From that, we have to give the solution that what is the best one. So now right present we are working with the real-time effluent. So these are all about complex solution. So now we are focusing our research on the real-time effluent. So for that, what is the real-time efficiency? And we have, whenever we are going for a single die, we got a efficiency of 90%. When we are going for a continuous process, we got a removal efficiency of 60 or 65. In batch, it is 90. In continuous, it is reducing only 60 or 65. Again, if you are going for a real-time effluent, we achieved only 48%. So from that, we can able to say that our biochar without any modification, it is best suited for 48% of the removal. So again, if I decided to increase the efficiency or uptake capacity, then I have to go for modification. The best modification we can go for a composite material, oxide material, that is zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. I have to blend with that. If possible, I have to go for a doping. From that material, I have to check what is the best efficiency for continuous or batch or whatever it may be. So we have started producing almost in our lab some 8 different materials we have produced, and research has to be carried out in that. Okay. So with that, I'm completing. Any questions you can post in the chat box, or any personal someone, if you are interested in research or something, you can send your query to my mail id, that is goklan.or@gmrit.edu.in. Thank you, sir. Venkatesh sir, you can proceed. If any questions are there, let them post in chat box. Thank you. Activated carbon, powdered activated carbon. That's what, sir. Well, we are saying powdered activated carbon is nothing but it's a commercially available carbon which is already chemically modified, that will have both positive and negative, whatever it may be. Even if you are going for whatever may be the metal, that it can able to remove. But the only difference is the cost associated with the production of the activated carbon. But in biochar, it is specific for a particular type of the thing, so cost will be reduced. So our ultimate aim is that not a common material to be suitable for all the things. So in that case, it is a main difference, cost associated with both the things. And someone asked about application in geotechnical issue. I'm not sure. We are concentrating our research in this, but it is having soil application for agricultural point of view.
Um, Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
This is Dhanasar from SRM.
Yes, sir.
I have a doubt actually.
Yeah.
After if we do the desorption process,
Uh,
if all the pollutant is remained in the
biochar.
that biochar, okay.
Yeah.
So if we do, you mentioned that some hydrochloride or something we can able to do the desorption. Desorption will take very lesser time only, right? After desorption, how can we manage that chemicals? Where we are going to resource that?
How we are going to manage, you are asking, sir,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Hello.
Yes, Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, sir. Actually, here desorption, the main objective desorption study is nothing but we are using biochar. Our ultimate aim is not a single process.
Okay.
Since the cost associated with the production of biochar itself, we think about we are doing in lab scale synthesis process. But
Okay.
think about we are doing for a large sector. Pyrolysis equipment, it will cost about 10 lakhs to 15
That's why
lakhs.
I had that clarification. Because
That's
in the
why. So
large
that's
scale
why.
lab sector, if we
That's
are
why. Wait, sir.
using biochar for remove the pollutant, say for example,
That's why. Wait,
tannery,
sir. Wait, sir.
if we remove hexavalent chromium from the tannery industry, all the chromium must be in the biochar.
Yeah.
After, if we do the desorption process, all the chromium is settled in that particular chemical. What we are going to use it to remove that
Again,
from
that is a secondary pollutant. Again, we have
Okay.
to take care of that secondary pollutant also. Here, we are
That's
thinking
why.
about first removal.
Okay.
So, wait, sir, just a
Okay.
second. We are removing the pollutant from the wastewater. Since
Okay.
water we have to use for some other purpose. So, here the
Okay.
primary pollutant is mixed with our water treatment or wastewater treatment ultimate aim.
Okay.
After that, we are using biochar. Using
Okay.
adsorption, biochar and all the pollutant is going to be absorbed. So, we are
Okay.
letting out all the liquid. So, this
Okay.
will have a wet condition. So, again,
Okay.
our ultimate aim, since the production of the cost associated with biochar is very, very high, we are going for
Okay.
multiple times of same biochar is used in the next
Yeah,
cycle.
yeah, I can
So,
understand. No problem.
in that, so we are using some chemicals. Without chemicals, we can't able to remove, we can't able to break the bond between the biochar and the whatever the pollutant it
Yeah,
may be.
obviously.
So that we
Obviously.
are using. So again, it's nothing but a batch process. We can able to that pollutant will come out. That pollutant will come in the that is
Yeah,
liquid in the
yeah.
sense
Yeah.
elutant. Okay,
Yeah, we can
that
separate
biochar
it
we are
with the help
using
of
now.
adsorption.
Again,
Yeah.
that 20 ml, for example, I said ratio of 5. Meaning is that for
Okay.
100 ml of concentration, we are having 20 ml ratio is there. That 20
Okay.
ml is a pollutant, pure pollutant, 100% pollutant now. Okay,
Okay.
that pollutant again, whatever you are saying, chromium or whatever it may, that will be present in that pollutant.
Yes.
Again, we have to take care of that secondary pollutant. So secondary pollutant issue
What
will
are
be
all
there.
the suggestions? How can we take care of that? Because as an
Again,
environmental engineer, we
as
want
an environment,
complete
simple,
degradation.
sir. For example, everyone is talking about carbon dioxide sequestration, right? In flue
Okay.
gas.
Okay.
So it is having physical chemical. Everyone is knowing that a scrubber. What we are doing, NOx, SOx is there. We are spraying the
It
water.
will
It will be
separate. It will separate. Yes.
separate. It is separate
Obviously.
in the form of hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid. We are
Okay.
commercially using for another purpose. So
Okay.
meanwhile, the chemicals which are collected with other chemical modification, whether that can be converted for thing, there is this not a biodegradation process, sir. What you are using, it's a separation process. So that
But
secondary
I
pollutant
believe
research
that
has to
in
be
this
carried out.
form, actually, we are converted that primary form into the secondary form. That's it, right?
That is
In
pure
this
form we have
biochar,
collected,
maximum we
separated.
can do that. After, if we recuperated whatever things, we can try to
We
again
can
find the
separate.
removing
Here,
process.
ultimate
After, if
concept is
we
that
remove,
the water usage. The water, since water demand is there, now the water is entirely free, pollutant free, but this pollutant is having that safe disposal and everything we have to carry out. That we have to look into further research, sir. So we are not
okay,
considered till now a secondary pollutant.
okay, because I had the doubt because we are not
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah, sure, sure.
it as a
Whenever you are going with
sustainable
environmental,
removal
sir,
methodology, right? Because as an
other
environmental
things.
engineer, always we have to find some
Simple, sir, simple.
sustainable
As an
method.
environmental engineer, we know phytoremediation. For example, if you are taking Amburna,
Ah,
now they
sir,
are
that
using
we can
microalgae.
directly go. Phytoremediation,
Ah,
if we
that,
don't have a land, because
that
we
is
are here in north,
converting. So converting
obviously,
pollutant into some other form. Biodiesel or
obviously,
something we can convert. But here
obviously.
conversion is not possible. Separation is the possible way.
Only we can do the separation. That's it. We
Separation.
can't
Yeah.
degrade it.
No, no, sir. Here
Is it any
degradation is not at all
degradation? Are
possible.
you find it in this biochar?
No, sir. Biochar, so far we have not applied any degradation process, sir. Even if you are
Okay.
going for nanomaterials or something, that
Hmm.
either you can go for absorption process, separation. Photocatalyst, if you are using itself here degradation process, you are using
And I
UV
had
light.
one more clarification. I will take 1 more minute also.
Yeah, yeah,
Can
sure.
we able to grow any kind of microbes? Because usually carbon is a disinfectant, but
Yeah.
can we try it?
That's what, sir, we have to make. Since again in soil fertility, the agricultural engineers has to take care, sir. Since as an environmental
No, no,
engineer,
no,
we are
no. As
thinking
an
of different point of
environmental
view.
engineer, we can do any anaerobic methodologies. Like we can
Uh,
try to
what you are
cultivate any
asking, any
microorganism.
cultivation is possible.
Hmm.
Cultivation
My
actually,
question is, in the
uh,
anaerobic digestion process,
uh,
can we use this biochar as a filter media?
filter media. Yeah, I think in carbon sequestration we are using
Hmm.
automatically. It can apply, but we have to check. So not sure. So far, I think application is not yet done in anaerobic as a filter in biochar.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I
Okay.
said. Sir. Recently, some 3 4 years, the research has been evolving biochar. Lot of things has to go.
Okay.
So
Okay.
particularly soil, many work has carried out on soil fertility and separation, that is absorption process.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
Even that nanomaterials we are saying no, sir, only limited studies are there.
Yeah. 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 Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure, obviously modified will be the best. Modified will be the best. Since natural biochar we are not pre-treating or we are not involving anything. So if you are going for nanomaterial, definitely the surface, as I said in presentation, in we are going for a modified surface area or surface charge, it will be my increased lot. Automatically uptake capacity, removal efficiency will very much. When that cost again in production, it everything we have to take care. It is not the thing only removal efficiency. So what is the cost associated with the entire treatment we have to take care? But always the natural, when compared to natural biochar, modified biochar will have a maximum removal efficiency. Yeah, that's what we have to first go for a trial and error method. There is no way we have to take from 250 degrees Celsius to 500 degrees Celsius. And this is not only the thing, we have to go for thermo before starting the experiment in laboratory. We have to assess the thermogravimetric analysis. We have to study the thermal degradation of a particular material. In that thermal degradation, we can able to see at what temperature the entire moisture is removed, at what temperature the cellulose, hemicellulose is removed, at what temp the lignin is removed. From that temperature, what will be the maximum yield so that it will reflect into our indoor laboratory. So based on the biochar yield and maximum degradation, we want to fix. So it is not the thing. For example, the coconut shell collected from Kerala will have something different. The coconut shell which is having a notch something different. It is not the thing. Coconut shell will have a 300. So the characteristics of the material is varying from place to place. So we have to keep in that. Based on this analysis, everything proximate analysis we have to carry out. From all this only we can able to fix what is the optimum temperature for production. So production itself a main, that is the backbone of the entire biochar. We should be very careful in synthesis of biochar. Yeah. No, sir. Oil spill remediation is something different. We can go for microalgae. It's a biochar. It's a adsorption process. So oil fill something. It's very tough to absorb with biochar. So oil spill will have it's a very worst pollutant that we have to go for. But right now oil spill degradation using microalgae they are using. So I think I'm not sure about biochar whether it can have a maximum removal efficiency. But we have to go for some trial and error method. But definitely for oil spill, I think so. It is tough. Uh, That's what, sir. Hydrocar is just a name, modified form. Biochar is nothing but a natural biochar. So natural biochar will have some characteristics. It may be suitable for anion. It may be suitable that is positive charge, negative charge, but it won't be suitable for all the thing. In such cases, we want to go for some modification. In modification process, I said steam process is there, heat treatment is there, acid treatment, alkaline treatment, functional group treatment is there. So what is our target? That is, what is our pollutant? Based on that pollutant, what is the modification we have to do? That modification, how far it is going to be remediated. So this is the difference. Hydrochar is nothing but a modified form of a biochar. Next version. Activation should be carried out. That's what there in past actually adsorption long back. First we think that adsorption activated carbon is the best one. After that we have gone with a raw biomass. After that we have go for bio any process. Now it went to biochar. In future process, what in past also so far in laboratory scale whatever we decide it's still in batch level. It is not in continuous mode and it is not in complex mode. Whatever we are using is a single solute solution. Individual dye we are removing. So whatever the research we are validating with this optimum condition, we have to implement this with the complex directly. What without adjusting any pH or something? What is the nature of the effluent coming from textile industry? From that, we have to apply our material that is biochar that should have maximum. For that, towards the research can divert to that in continuous process. Whereas the solution should be complex, real time solution we have to take. But as a research level, we are doing with a single solute. So in that way, the future research can be done. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, sure, sir. If you're talking, that's what whatever the material, carbon material we are saying. For example, sludge, I said, na, wastewater treatment plant we are taking. The entire sludge is nothing but the human fecal matter is nothing but sludge or chemicals which is there. That can be done for processing and we can carry out from that. In solid waste management, some materials we can from that we can able to we can generate. For example, cardboard material we are using. From the cardboard material also we can able to synthesize a biochar. Normal wood. that wood can be used for sense of biochar. But important thing, we have to keep in the physical characteristics. If any modification should be done, we have to do the modification in the raw biochar. Until otherwise, it won't be efficient for that. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.